acsports.com here. We're breaking down the week 1 analysis of the college football season, and we have to start right off the bat and apologize to the fans and the state of Alabama because they proved us wrong. They showed why they're the defending national champions. A dominant performance by Nick Saban and company, and Kirby Smart, the defensive coordinator, with a great game plan, forcing Michigan and Denard Robinson into a ton of miscues, and that veteran offensive line showed why they will be in the mix for the national championship in 2012. A.J. McCarron, a good performance, not a great performance, but he led the Crimson Tide and did everything needed that was expected of him in order to manage and get the victory. And hats off to Alabama and Nick Saban. Saban is a master game planner, and Kirby Smart is one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. They shut us up, and they showed why they and the SEC are the best conference in college football. The rest are all just playing for second in our minds. The SEC is without a doubt in the running to win a 7th straight national title, and Alabama will be at the top of the mix. They're the number 2 ranked team in the nation under USC right now, but that offensive line led by Barrett Jones and Chance Warmack showed why they can just dominate at will. And 4 backs, D. Hart, TJ Yelton, Eddie Lacy, and Fowler had a great game, and that was why it opened up the passing game for McCarron. Nussmeier called a pretty good game. We'll give him credit as well. No butterflies there. He was rolling 7s all first and second quarter, and they built a lead of 31-0, and then that defense just closed the noose. So hats off to Alabama. A couple of thoughts about the week 1 analysis. We're gonna stay in the SEC. We're gonna give credit also to the University of Tennessee and Derek Dooley. That offensive line protected Tyler Bray. That he had a really good game, and Tennessee's offensive line plays like that the rest of the season. They're going to be a good team, not a great team right now. They're still in the rebuilding stage for what Lane Kiffin did to them, but Derek Dooley looks like he's got that offensive line in place, and Marlon Lane had a good game, and Tyler Bray just picked apart the vaunted NC State secondary. A lot of analysts had David Anderson as a number 1 draft pick coming into this season. I tell you, he got burned on a couple of big plays. He didn't look good in run support either. Tyler Bray picked apart that NC State defense, and they can be a team that can make some noise this year. Keep an eye out for Tennessee. A couple of coaches that the hot seat just got a little hotter. We wrote about them at the start of the season. Jeff Tedford, his California team lost 31-24 against the University of Nevada, and he has to win immediately. Tedford's job just got a lot harder. Frank Spaziani's job just got a lot harder. Spaziani, last season 4-8, he beat Miami in the last game of the season. He comes right out of the gate, and they lose to the University of Miami. They were up 14-0. Chance Reddick making some mistakes. He did look like he got better in his reads early in the first and second quarter, but they jumped out Boston College to a 14-0 lead, and then all of a sudden it was 14-14, and Boston College loses their season opener, and Frank Spaziani's seat just got a lot hotter in Boston College. I'm going to throw another coach out there as well. We didn't write about him, but we're talking about him now. Randy Edsall at the University of Maryland. Last year, he took over for Ralph Friedgen, who was 9-4 when they ousted him. He had a bowl victory when they got rid of Ralph Friedgen. He comes out last year with a terrible year. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt that it was a rebuilding year, but a 7-6 victory this weekend over William and Mary is not going to cut it at College Station, and Randy Edsall's job, we're going to say, is just, he has to win and show improvement this year. Otherwise, you'll be reading about Randy Edsall on the unemployment line down in College Station, Maryland. So 3 coaches, Frank Spaziani, Tedford, and Randy Edsall, have to show significant improvement this year. Otherwise, they'll be on the unemployment line. We'll give credit as well to UTEP. UTEP had a great game plan against Oklahoma. They didn't pull out the victory. Mike Price, gambles a little bit, down 10-7. He goes for it on a fake punt on 4th and 8, and they stop him, and then that opens up the door for Landry Jones in Oklahoma to get the 24-7 victory late in the fourth quarter. That was a really a gamble on Mike Price's part. His defense was playing well. At that point, they rushed for over 200 yards on the so-called great defense of Oklahoma. Mike Stoops, who takes over as the defensive coordinator for Brett Venables, has a tough task. I'll tell you, he's working for his brother, but he really didn't show a great defensive scheme against the UTEP Miners. So that's another team you got to keep an eye on. Could be a little bit overrated is Oklahoma. Landry Jones, yes, great quarterback, but that defense, when you give up 200 rushing yards to UTEP, you're in trouble. And at this point in the season, game one, Oklahoma, in my mind, is a little bit overrated. So keep an eye out for them. A couple other teams that we're going to look at right now as well. Big Ten. Dominant performance by Michigan State on the offense and defensive lines. The secondary did show a little bit of weakness, but they grind out a 17-13 win over Boise State. And keep an eye out for Michigan State to be in the mix to make some noise. They can be the front runner and roll the dice and win the Big Ten and make some noise, if you want to say, outside the SEC. Which team can do it? Andrew Maxwell is a new quarterback, and Dan Antonio did break him in. He did make some mistakes, but if he progresses from week to week, Michigan State could be in the mix to make some noise outside the SEC. We're still calling right now the performance by Alabama in the SEC this weekend. Still, in our minds, the SEC is the best conference, hands down. You got a bunch of teams that are doing well. Alabama, LSU with a home victory over North Texas. They're going to be challenged this coming week against Washington, so we got to keep an eye on that matchup. Georgia struggled a little bit, but you have to remember they struggled. They were only up 8 points at the half to the University of Buffalo, and Aaron Murray missed some throws. But the freshman running back stepped up. But you have to also remember, was Georgia looking ahead a little bit to this week's matchup against the University of Missouri? They traveled to Missouri this week in Missouri's first SEC game. So just keep that in mind that, maybe Georgia, had a little bit of a vanilla game plan against the University of Buffalo. I think you see the Bulldogs' best effort this weekend against the University of Missouri. And then, of course, Arkansas. The only weak link with Arkansas right now is John L. Smith. He takes over for Bobby Petrino. We're not really sold on John L. Smith's ability as a head coach. He's a good coach. He's not great. And when you're coaching in the SEC with the likes of Saban, Miles, that's a tough task. So just keep that in mind. I mean, there's a drop-off when you're talking about Saban and Miles to John L. Smith. So just keep that in mind for the Arkansas team this week. But hats off to the SEC, and like we said, the Michigan State, in our mind, is going to win the Big Ten. Out of all the Big Ten teams this week, we think Michigan State has the best shot. We'll talk about a little bit College Station with a big loss on opening day after the Paterno era. Bill O'Brien opens up with the University of Ohio, and they lose. The University of Ohio is a really good MAC team led by former Nebraska head coach Frank Solich. They have a good quarterback in Tyler Tettleton, son of Oakland A catcher Mickey Tettleton, and Bo Blankenship has some really good feet. He's a pretty good running back. Keep your eye on him the rest of the year. Ohio's a very good MAC team, so we know that they lost College Station, Penn State this week to Ohio, but it's a very good MAC team and a very good head coach led by Frank Solich. So that was a tough loss to start the new era, but the MAC doesn't get as much credit as they should. When we're talking about the University of Nebraska, Taylor Martinez threw for a career high this week. We were not high on Taylor Martinez coming into the season just because of his mechanics. He did only start playing quarterback as a senior in high school and does have great running ability. Rex Burkhead was hurt for most of the first half, but the University of Nebraska pounded Southern Mississippi in the second half and won 49-20. So, we talk about Nebraska. They did give up some big plays early in the first quarter and the second quarter, but Bo Pelini made some adjustments at halftime, and they ran away with the Cornhuskers. We got a great week of college football ahead of us. We're going to break down the week 2 matchups as well. We want you to keep your Stay with us. Stay with us all season long at www.acsportstips.com. We're going to have all the breakdowns for week 2. It's going to be a great college football season. Just stay with us all year long.